family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? Won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit to talk about us recognizing our choice us recognizing the choice that we always have to choosing calm, peace, and presence, right? Or to choosing reactivity, panic, and rage, right? So, if you ever decide to take the time, if you take the time, okay, to sit with yourself and investigate, right? Investigate, humble yourself a little bit, okay? Because I know if you're not used to really taking the time to sit down and reflect, I know a lot of people aren't. Most people are engaged in the outside world. Most people are, in that invested in the persona energy that and the belief and the energy that everything in the world is happening to them and they're a victim, so they are reactive, so they go into panic easily, so they feel justified and relieved in the existence or in the exercising of rage, right? People go into anger and rage to relieve things that they are unable to hold and suppress within themselves, right? Or that they're unable to process. That is what the display of rage and panic and anger is all about, right? So, in your time of introspection, if you decide to do it, Spirit would like you to, ask yourself, what do I perceive as a puppet master in my life? If someone asked me, or if I was now to sit and ask myself, who and what do I classify or recognize as puppet master in my life? What would you actually say? Does your perspective immediately jump to trying to find something on the outside of you to blame as a puppet master in your life? Or are you grounded enough? Are you self-aware enough? Are you open enough to recognize that you also, the puppet master in your life can also be a mental thing, right? Generally, the main puppet master in your life is what you have going on mentally, what you have going on in your belief systems, what you've allowed to become a habit, what you've been groomed into, right? But until you choose to become personally aware and conscious and about these things, you will always be in a position of believing that the puppet masters in your life are on the outside. You combat the puppet master, whether you believe it's on the outside or you recognize that it's on the inside. The only way to combat or conquer it, right, is from within. You need to become aware. You need to be able to raise yourself and understand and integrate a new perspective, right? You need a new perspective. You overcome the puppet master within or without by adopting and moving yourself into a new perspective and way of being. If there's someone on the outside of you that you feel you are relinquishing yourself to, someone on the outside of you who's able to trigger you, who's able to bring you into reactivity, who's able to bring you into panic or into different magnitudes of anger or rage, the issue is still you. The issue, the solution is still within, right? You've got a belief system, you've got a fear. There's something within you. There's a lack programming, you've got an attachment. There's something within you that is below the surface that is actually the puppet master. Something within you that allows you to perceive something or someone on the outside of you as having more power than your ability to choose yourself, than your ability to choose peace, your ability to choose calm, and your ability to be present. Okay, so take some time to really introspect and understand what your belief systems are around puppet masters in your life. What do you categorize as a puppet master? What belief systems could be a puppet master? What beliefs do you have? Right, your ideas of love, your ideas of attachment, how you exercise attachment. Understand as well that the world is programmed into a love that is based on the foundation of fear and attachment, right, and lack. Whether it's in family dynamics, whether it's between two people, the love that the world is trained into is not love. It's attachment. It's different kinds of attachment, layered with insecurities, layered with lack, layered with fear, layered with it's not healthy, okay? And it's designed to create wounding. It's designed to create these cycles between people, right? Of wounding and trauma and all these things. It's designed to create expectation. It's designed to be measured according to how the next person is able to satisfy the ideas of lack that you have programmed into yourself. Okay? So also recognize that all of those things are also puppet masters in your life, below the surface. All of those things dictate your response and your reactivity and your processing of your external world. We only want to always take the external experience into consideration, blame the external experience, blame the external person, right? But we don't want to take accountability for the belief systems that we hold, our fears and our lack programming. We don't want to take accountability for our lack of effort in trying to also enlighten ourselves and broaden our perspectives and apply what we learn to the way we exercise ourselves in our decisions, right? How are you informing yourself? What are you enlightening yourself to in your life to help you place a new perspective and overcome your fears? Help you work out a specific area of lack that you hold in your perspective and your belief system. All of these things that make you obedient, that make you submissive to the outside world, that make you relinquish and surrender yourself and your energy, make you believe that the power is that the power and your God is the outside world, in different forms with different variants and different magnitudes, right? What belief systems do you hold that, have you unconsciously putting somebody into a position of authority in your life? And that includes the labels that you place on people, be it a mother, a father. What layers of belief systems do you have attached to those things that make you obedient, that put someone by default into a place of authority in your life? That have you put the expectations and your inability or ability to meet those expectations as a puppet master as well, dictating your decisions and your state of being and the way you perceive yourself and your own self-worth? Having those things dictate, whether you consciously or unconsciously see yourself as worthy. Having someone else's measurement of how you meet their expectations dictate whether they see you, will allow them to dictate and place onto you how worthy you are or are not, and decide to take that on and put that judgment on yourself. All of these things, you take those things on and then they influence other areas of your life. They influence and they either enhance or they weaken other areas of your life, your decision making, the way you process things. The courage you have, the confidence you exercise and live in, and allow yourself to also cultivate within yourself. These are the different layers and tentacles of programming and all sorts of things that we're not trained to go within and introspect and recognize, where all these things are also strings, puppet masters in our lives, keeping us obedient, keeping us stuck, keeping us stagnant and limited, having you settle for things that and accept bare minimum in treatment and experience and all these things. Because you relinquish the power in different ways and forms to people on the outside, and these lower vibrational, limiting and lack-based belief systems that you don't even realize you're operating from on the inside, in the background, right? Now, let's take it a step further. When you start becoming aware to all of these things, the divine is going to also play a bigger role from within, guiding you, right? You're going to start having your awareness is going to start allowing you to recognize the choices you have to be in a certain state, to continue living a certain experience, to continue submitting or surrendering or being obedient to something that you don't even realize you've given authority to and over you and your decisions and your life and your movement, influencing you in the background unconsciously, right? Once you start moving into a place where you become aware of it all, you're going to start recognizing, for the sake of this video, we're going to call it opponents, okay? You're going to start awakening to the opponents in your life on the outside who benefited, right? Whose lives stayed balanced and in equilibrium as a result of you being in being unconsciously in this place of allowing yourself to submit to these different forms of puppet masters and influences and authorities in your life that you didn't even realize that you were giving yourself over to all this time, right? All of it has played a role in deciding where your life is today. You, for the longest time, would think that you've been making your own decisions, would think that you've been, influenced, that what's influencing you is just coming from a place of, yourself. No. No. It's the puppet master. It's all these strings and things that are going on inside, below the surface, below the reactivity, below the rage, below the panic, below the experience, right? That you choose to blame on the surface. When you start moving out of this place of submission and obedience and reactivity and having these things dictate, right? Even other people's behavior or your fears or whatever it is, having it all dictate your state of being, having it all, having it all keep you in this place of believing that you don't have the choice to take control and charge of situations and experiences that you might find yourself in, with other people, with yourself. You're going to start finding opponents in your life, right? These opponents will either be in people or of an energetic nature, because when you start recognizing you have a choice to either exist in a lower state or choose a state that is more empowering, more sovereign, and more and of a higher energy and experience for yourself, you are going to create an upset in the energy, and you're going to create an upset in the opponents to you making a different decision, choosing a different way of being, choosing a different path, right? Exercising the choices that you have. In the world of mental health, they like to call these opponents, generally they like to label them as narcissists, right? But they don't have to be narcissistic to the extent of what mental health would require, I guess. But you're going to hit these people who are going to oppose you, And these people who oppose you are going to use all the things that you've been programmed, all the emotions, all the reactions, all the ways of taking control of a situation, right? That you've been programmed to submit to, programmed to avoid, programmed to be afraid of, right? So, because you're programmed to be afraid of conflict, programmed to be afraid of people's reactions, programmed to be afraid of people's emotions, programmed to be afraid of disappointing somebody, programmed to be afraid of saying no, programmed to not hold your boundaries in place, programmed to feel guilty for having your decisions, put somebody into a place of temporary disappointment, right? All of these things that you've been programmed to be afraid of, your opponents are going to express. And the more you stand your ground, the more amplified these expressions of reactivity and pushback and manipulation and guilt are going to become, right? When this happens, I know it can be a bit of a challenging time to go through, because you start seeing where people are underdeveloped, right? They kick, they scream, they throw tantrums, they become manipulative, they triangulate, they negotiate, they blame, they make themselves victims. it's a lot. There's a process they go through as well. Once you start moving into an energy of operating more sovereignly, and operating from a place of recognizing you have the power to make a choice. You have the power to take charge of your own experience. You have the power to say no, right? You need to let their emotions and their opposing behavior to try and get you back into an old place and into an old state. Let them exhaust themselves. Don't be moved by noise, okay? Because that's all they can do. Noise, the matrix, whatever this experience is that we've been sort of locked into for so long, one of the biggest things to keep you in place is fear and noise, tantrum, distract, all of it, okay? When you become aware and self-aware, and you're able to recognize yourself separately from what the next person's experience is, and you learn to become an observer to the experience, you learn to choose your calm, you learn to choose peace, you learn to choose presence, and you move into observation and choosing the option that keeps you in balance, even if it maybe puts somebody else in a place of imbalance. Let them exhaust themselves, okay? And it can go on for days, it can go on for weeks. It depends on what what kind of it depends on what they were benefiting out of the dynamic and situation, right? So use it also as a way to learn and train yourself into recognizing how not. I've spoken about matching energy in the past, how you don't have to match the next person's energy, how you don't have to participate in the next person's experience, because generally they are banking on you being defensive. They are banking on you being reactive, right? Banking on bringing you back, on you going into those places so that they can take control of the situation and move you back into a place of being obedient, again, on different magnitudes. So get right about yourself and the dynamics between you and other people. Get right about what you do and don't believe is the puppet master in your life, and recognize that you conquer the puppet master from within by raising your perspective, by adopting a new perspective, by recognizing your ability to choose and your choice in situations, right? Nobody has to have authority over you, and nobody needs to scare you into giving them power and authority over you. Recognize when you're being manipulated. Recognize when you've also become attached to something someone is providing and not realizing how your attachment to what they give, or how whatever it is in the dynamic, keeps you in a place of submission, keeps you in a place of overgiving, keeps you in a place of fear to speak up. Okay? These are all the things that pull the strings in your life. These are all the things that dictate your experience, all the things that limit you, all the things that are the deciding factors of your choices and decisions, all the things that decide for you, make you decide against doing what it is that would make you happy, make you decide against an experience that you would want, right? Make you decide against a choice that is for your highest good and for your own best, highest interest, right? Which is not a selfish thing to do. Make sure that you're fine first. Make sure that whatever you do for somebody else, you're doing for an aspect of yourself also, so that you don't run dry. You don't go into a place of deficit by giving to people in ways that you don't give to yourself, okay? Get right about the emotions and whatever the emotional stuff is and the mental stuff is between you and somebody else, okay? So, yeah, don't let people on the outside of you take advantage of your fear. And don't let your fears be the reason you give people on the outside of you favor. Okay? So, yeah, it's not about who can make the most noise. It's about who can maintain their awareness and their stability within the noise, within the situation, and who is able to, take decisive action regardless of everything on the outside that may be trying to get you to go against you exercising the choices and decisions that you have available to you. Don't cut yourself short. And don't give yourself the shortest stick because you're people pleasing. Okay? That people pleasing shit can also be a puppet master in your life, and it just makes you weak. People pleasing is it's a reflection of weakness, okay, and of fear. So get right with yourself. Okay, I'm going to pull a card today from Miracle Cards by Marianne Williamson. Okay, and see what Spirit has to support our conversation, or give someone who's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay, and what came out is true friendship. Okay, so when you start recognizing what and who might be puppet masters in your life, you also start aligning to more authentic experiences and relationships with people, right? Not experiences and relationships that are based off of all the things that are governing you quietly or unconsciously in the background, because you're unaware and you're just operating unconsciously out of all those things. Okay, don't let people who are opponents to you making your own decisions end up being the dictators of how and where your life goes and the decisions that you make. The card says to give a friend the benefit of the doubt, to listen with depth and compassion and non-judgment, to be loyal in an age where loyalty is so easily relinquished. These are opportunities to use friendship as a means of righteous participation in life. Okay, so get real about your ideas also of friendship and of who is a friend and who is a foe. Okay, and once you recognize these aspects within yourself, you're also able to again accommodate for a broader perspective of life and recognize where these things are also affecting the other people around you, and where some might be more privy to others and take advantage of others' unconscious acting out of those, things within them. Other people see that in others and they take advantage of it. You being unaware makes you completely vulnerable to the ones on the outside who are opportunistic and, aware to a degree that works for them. Okay, they know how to make the world on the outside work for them because they're aware to certain things that other people who are puppet mastered by all the other things below the surface are not, because their energy is focused on not feeling or recognizing that those things are a part of them. So they become reactive. Okay, things trigger them. They're distracted. They're making decisions that are more accommodating to people and things on the outside instead of themselves, right? So, yeah, okay. I will see you in the next video, family. I hope this has resonated, and yeah, okay, bye.